So since today is the experience day of Balarama, another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know in Krishna consciousness that God is a person, Supreme Person, and as we have a practical experience of being persons, we know that everybody of us has different features. People have different sides. In the material world, these sides, we see what they sometimes call character, are dictated by the nature surrounding us, starting with this very same body, which dictate us a certain mode of expression. Very basic differences in man and woman. Sometimes people try to change it. Doesn't look very good. There's a certain voice, there's a certain appearance. And even amongst women and amongst men, there are so many different beings because we are individuals. And even within one individual, there are so many features. There is the soft one, and there is a more heavy one. Even the most soft person you meet in your life has some time, somewhere, some more sharp side to him. Maybe it doesn't come out, but it doesn't mean it's not there. So similarly, if we have this experience, that we have a different sides to us, what to speak of God? Being a Supreme Person, how many sides He must have? How many features He must have? However, His different features are not dictated by anyone. He is not shaped by the nature. He is the controller of that nature. He is not the fashion, influenced by some fashion. He is the ultimate fashion designer. So understanding that, it starts to get interesting, and that's only to be found in this Bhakti Yoga process, which is based on a personal understanding of God in the most intimate details. Actually, you never heard about anybody in the material world being so detailedly described as Srila Prabhupada called our Krishna is described in these books. Like there's a book called Nectar of Devotion. You find how God looks like. You find how his belly looks like. You find how high he is. You find what color of hair he has. What color of eyes. What kind of color of skin. How does he look? How does he act? What does he like? What does he doesn't like? All these descriptions are there. There's no other religious scripture which describes that. Basically, religious scriptures are limited to the description of God as being the greatest. That's true. Being the oldest. That's also true. But how he looks like, there's even a religion, Muslim religion, which forbids that we should even speak or imagine any form of God. And it's right, sir. We shouldn't imagine anything. If somebody would told me 42 years ago that God is some kind of blue, actually people sometimes think it's a girl, and they see first picture of Krishna because he has long blackish hair, so they think he must be female, and they get confused. They never saw anything like this. They think, how can be somebody bluish? We know black people, we know kind of yellow people, we know kind of dark people, dark brown people, but bluish? What an idea! How can you have a bluish skin? And then long black hair, that in the 60s when this movement started, that was understood. Because all hippies had long hair. So when they asked Srila Prabhupada, why does have Krishna long hair? Prabhupada said, because he likes long black hair. But he is not a hippie. Very important information right away in the beginning. So it's clear from the beginning who is who. When people ask us, but why is God like this and why does he look like that? Ultimate answer is because he wants to. Because he likes to. That's it. He can do that. And he has so many forms. So today we are celebrating the appearance of his form in form of Baladev. There's a very nice, quite intimate description, Nectar of Devotion, just to start it, where one devotee described the personal beauty of Baladev or Balarama as follows. Let me take shelter of the lotus feet of Balaram, whose beauty is enhanced by the earrings touching his cheeks, big earrings. His face is decorated with tilak made from kashturi, this is musk. Musk is a perfume derived from a gland, from a gland at the belly of a deer. It is quite common, quite known, musk is used even in the West. It got a very spicy kind of smell. And his broad chest is decorated with garland of gunja, or small conchs. It's a garland made from that. His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. That's specially experienced in India. Here autumn clouds are more blackish. But autumn cloud, it's actually whitish. And it's airy. Just by the way, little information. Until today, it's a great confusion among the artists how to paint sky or even a cloud. Because you always end up with something kind of two-dimensional. But sky is a three-dimensional thing. It's very difficult for artists to put it somewhere in picture. It always looks like somebody painted that. But sky has a volume. There's a volume to it. How do you express that? So you can imagine the skin of Lord Balaram. It's airy. It has a volume to it. It's not just a bag like we are carrying around. We know this is kind of bag. You can peel it off. You can cut a piece. And then you are sitting in it. But because God doesn't have any body, He is the body. We have a body. And that body is changing, it's growing old, it's shrinking. Finally it falls apart. We die. God never dies, He is the body. Like example, He doesn't have any veins. Veins is something we know here, but the veins is not there. Very confusing. I remember when the first time the artists in this movement painted for illustrations to these books. They found so many confusion. They were going to Srila Prabhupada asking all the time. There's a whole amount of letters that Prabhupada instructs them what to consider and what to paint and what not to paint. Like example, God is self-illuminating. Already in his childhood, when he was going in a storage room to steal butter and there was no light, no problem. Because he was actually illuminating from inside, so he could see. How do you paint such a thing? How do you express it? Very difficult. They already encountered the first problems by our mundane material means and perception. It's not easy to understand. Actually, it's impossible. So therefore Krishna says, only those who surrender to me and become my servants, my bhakta, I reveal myself to them. They learn gradually as they surrender to understand me. So, his complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. He wears garments of blue color. Blue, you find, maybe you noticed here, on the altar we have a Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, but Nityananda is also dressed in blue. Because why? He is the same as Lord Balaram. He is appearing in various ages and various forms. Now, Lord Nityananda has a certain mission and he appears for a certain purpose, and so does also Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram, his arms are very long and touching his thighs, all the way down to the knees. That's also valid for Lord Chaitanya, and very long arms. And Lord Balaram is the feature of God in a in our words you could call it very extravagant, very outgoing, very eccentric. That word could be used, eccentric. Now we sometimes think eccentric means crazy. Well, Lord Baladev has this is the real eccentric side of God. He's not illustrating any rules, even giving in the scriptures. He's not, he has his way to do that. He cannot be classified, he cannot be actually put into some certain category. Not to use too colorful words, but Balaram is so special because usually people, especially coming from Christian background, they think God is peace, God is love, God is, mercy, compassion. Yes, it's true. That's one feature of God. But they cannot accommodate where the anger comes from. Like in spiritual life, you're not supposed to be angry. Who said so? Who said so? Where is it stated? You're supposed to be peaceful. Yes, you're supposed to be peacefully angry. Oh, that's really confusing. How do you do that? That means, like we find in the Bhagavad Gita illustrated, Arjuna was a warrior, he had to fight. You have to be angry when you fight. You cannot drive on a battlefield going, hello, excuse me, can I kill you? Please, please, oh yes, and can I chop off your head, maybe, would you stand like this? Very nice. Obviously battles are not fought like this. This is ridiculous. So there's an anger. That anger, where does it originate from? Even I think Christians, and everybody will admit that everything comes from God. Good. But where is the anger coming from? Oh, from Satan. Really? Where is the Satan coming from? Not from God. Oh, come on, you just said everything comes from God. Until today they struggle with this good and evil and Satan. They cannot, everything comes from God but not the bad, and not the anger, and not this, and not that. That's how you become an atheist. Because you think there must be something stronger as God. Because we see quite often the evil prevails. How is it possible? And how is it possible that anger comes? How can we avoid anger? No. There's actually Balaram demonstrates in his behavior that that anger is there even in God. But of course, that anger is of a transcendental nature because once again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not dictated by external circumstances. Why is God becoming angry? Same reason, because he wants to. And when he becomes angry, this is written in this Krishna book, there are so many descriptions of God becoming angry. All people are happy. God is becoming angry. It's so nice. When we become angry, or not many people become happy. But when God becomes angry, then they become very inspired. Same thing Prabhupada said, God can even steal as a little child. He's stealing butter. He said, when you go in a supermarket and steal butter, they will call police and beat on your head with their shoes. When God is stealing butter, they are praising him for that, and they are in bliss, remembering how he stole the butter for thousands of years. That's the difference. So, anger of Balaram, his extravagant, and you could call it extroverted features, are simply source of ecstasy, not source of confusion. Now there are many stories related in Srimad Bhagavatam and summarized in this wonderful book called Krishna book by Srila Prabhupada, which illustrate that. Like Lord Balaram, he was once, involved with a clinch. There was it's long stories which go into each other, so you would have to read the whole book because one story goes into each other. But there was some from his dynasty. He came from Samba. He kidnapped once Lakshmana, and she came from another dynasty. It's a kind of classical, conflict. She comes from this dynasty, he comes from this dynasty, he kidnaps her, and then the dynasty gets upset, and they want her back, and then in the dynasty, instead of being a love couple, the dynasties get on each other. That's kind of simply summarized of the whole thing. So then Lord Balarama appeared on the scene, and because they were related, these dynasties, he made an appeal. He said, what are you quarreling about? Let them be happily married. It's nice, so what? And he gave even a lecture, like, it's no problem, they can marry and this. Now that dynasty called Kurus, they forgot, we are speaking to God, to Lord Balarama. So they were going, oh, who is this one talking to us? We are the big dynasty. By that time they kidnapped, not only they kept their lady, but as the boy tried to kidnap her, they captured him too. And they kept him in prison. And Lord Balarama was thinking, cannot we just talk about this? Let them get married and be happy. And they were like, who is you to talk to us? That's not the way to approach God. And especially not Lord Balarama. Especially not him. So they actually, made a very heavy speech to Balarama. Who is you to talk to us like this? So that's a feature of God which people are really puzzled about. No, God is sometimes not very patient. If he doesn't want to listen, he will not listen. Not only that, but Lord Balarama listening first patiently and realizing these fools are not going to stop talking here like this. So he became transcendently angry. So much that without actually talking back, he took his, as was mentioned in the morning, he has two things. He has a plow, it's actually for holding cows, and a club. And both things actually can be deadly weapons. So he took the plow and he jammed it into the earth so violently that he created an earthquake which separated the whole city from the ground. And he managed to drag the whole city like on a plane behind towards Ganga River, ready to plunge the whole city, including the citizens, into that river. It would be a nice scene for a movie nowadays. It's such an epic, it would be a really epical scene. Lord Balarama dragging behind the whole city, including the screaming citizens, where the buildings were shaking or collapsing and this. And he was able to throw the whole thing into a river. God can do that. Of course, they were then instantly very eager for some negotiation and for some talks. So ultimately the whole thing was, they brought the Samba and they brought Lakshmana and it was a whole marriage thing and it was all happy end. So this is just illustrating one of the features of Lord Balarama. He has a whitish skin, as we heard, long earrings, and reddish eyes. It's not imagined in a sense of makeup or painting. He's not painted. He is like that. And when he gets angry, the eyes become more reddish. He is not different from Krishna. He is Krishna. As a matter of fact, he appears as the elder brother of Krishna. Here, as the elder brother, always has this tendency to protect the younger brother. The relation between him and Krishna is always the one of protection and concern. Even Krishna is God, he doesn't have to be protected by anybody. But on a transcendental platform, these two relate to each other like that. Balarama is always like the senior, but he has, of course, full understanding that Krishna is the supreme. As a matter of fact, in his presence, sometimes he forgets that, that he is actually senior in the appearance and age, and he actually bows down to Krishna, accepting him to be the supreme. So this is actually, the relationship is given there. His name is also Ananta. Ananta is actually another form. This is actually a huge snake with hoods, which is always creating an umbrella in Krishna, and then Vishnu appears over him. So this feature of Krishna, as Lord Balarama, always protective to Krishna, this is the relationship between these two supreme personalities. So as we can see on a spiritual platform, there are so many things happening. In the material world, people like to discuss distinct features of certain people and they get excited over it. But it's only completely boring. Especially in this age, how do you become special and distinct? Not by developing some specially good qualities, you become very distinct by developing specially bad qualities. People pay for it even. It's called Open Air Festival. They go and sees a hero being specially drunk, specially vulgar, specially degraded. And when he is really insane, they go, wow, that's my hero. The people have the tendency to chant and to admire extraordinary personalities. Unfortunately, in this age, extraordinary means extraordinarily degraded. Because people don't look up to somebody. It's very rare that people look up to somebody. Oh, this is the person who could actually uplift my consciousness. They think, oh, he is great, he can degrade my consciousness even more as I can do. My God, this is fantastic. I never saw one can be so obscene, so vulgar, and so amazingly degraded. I'm inspired. You know, this is kind of the stage. So the wonderful thing is, in Krishna consciousness, the same mentality is there, the same attitude is there, but the effect is going in exactly opposite direction. Therefore, it's always stated, by hearing about the pastimes of Lord Balarama, one will be uplifted. One will be actually attracted. And this attraction doesn't come from mundane sensation. It comes actually from the natural attraction of the soul. We as the soul, living in this body, we have also needs. The body has a needs and we have a needs. These needs are not addressed in a material world. We address only material needs, therefore it's external. It's like, the body is itching, we have a need to scratch. That's all. The body is hungry, we have the need to eat. The body is sleepy, we have the need to sleep. But this is all external things of a completely temporary nature. Therefore, Krishna himself comes and by his presence inspires the souls, we are all souls, to take part and hear about his pastimes, so our real original need can be satisfied. That satisfaction we experience in Krishna consciousness is not coming from the mind. Not like, I think I'm very satisfied. No, that's still external. That satisfaction comes from inside. Otherwise, how is it possible? People can sit with such a relatively very simple instrument and sing and chant Hare Krishna for a whole day and night. Same thing. How is it possible? These people would consider it boring. You play on a guitar the same melody the whole day. You sing the same song the whole day. How long do people last to listen? Even if it's a very popular song, after a while you go, play something else. It's like enough of this. But in Krishna consciousness, this chanting can go on and on and on. Why people do that? Because obviously they produce some satisfaction there. Because that's the need of the soul. So these pastimes of these extraordinary personalities, incarnations of Krishna, he incarnates, he comes. Incarnation means he comes. Called avatar, he comes. He is appearing to satisfy the needs of the soul. That's one thing. Then he appears to protect the principles of religion. Like Lord Balarama especially distinctively discussed it when people are hypocrites. Like there were hypocrites in this story I just said. They were just playing big kings in front of God. Well, his means to show them that, sorry gentlemen, but you are a little bit too puffed up. On another occasion, it got even worse. A big speaker, sitting on a big seat, was giving a big lecture from the scriptures. His name was Maharshana Sudha. And he was giving a big lecture. The problem is that he was really considering himself so big that when Lord Balarama came personally visiting, he didn't pay much attention to him. He kept on speaking. Big speaker. And all the Brahmanas, Brahmana means intellectual, they were all listening attentively because what he was speaking was correct actually. He didn't say anything wrong. The only wrong thing was that he didn't realize, I'm speaking about God and God is coming. That was a kind of quite big mistake. And he kept on speaking. Well, just to teach him lesson, maybe in another incarnation, another form, Krishna will sit down and explain to him. Lord Balarama didn't explain anything. he just immediately saw, this person is out of line, they call it in America. It's very simple. He doesn't understand his position. In other words, he's a hypocrite. It's one thing when we know something, but when we don't know how to apply it, and we don't see how we fit into the whole thing, we become hypocrites. That applies to all situations, including in spiritual life. We may even understand what the goal of the learning is. We may understand from what ignorant state we came from, but when we don't understand where we are, what's our position, which is exhibited in Krishna consciousness by knowledge, from whom we should listen, with whom we should be just friends, and whom we should instruct. When we don't know this, then danger arises and we are confused. So Ramakrishna Sutta was in such a mood that he said, well, I'm the big speaker. Balaram coming, hello, yeah. Who is you? Well, Balaram just picked up a blade of grass. There's a statement in connection with Lord Ramachandra that even blade of grass can become a weapon in the hand of God. And he very attentively came close to Ramakrishna Sutta, like he wants to listen. No, he didn't. He just took the blade of grass and perforated him with that and killed him. That was a big uproar in the middle of the lecture. I mean, it would be kind of upsetting, right? If somebody comes here and, and goes, what did you say? Oh, very interesting. It's kind of quite dramatical. So all the brahmanas present are going, oh no, this never happened before. You don't kill the lecturer in the middle of the lecture. At least maybe you could wait after the lecture or whatever, but not in the middle of the lecture. It's a quite uncontrolled. Couldn't you wait at least a little bit? Now we have this bloody mess here, and there's a dead lecturer, and what is this? And as a matter of fact, Lord Balaram, seeing this saintly personality is complaining, immediately took a humble mood, because Krishna is Go Brahmana Hitayacha, means actually the worshipper of cows. It's interesting, cows coming in before Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. So he worships Brahmanas. So, Lord Balaram immediately assumed a humble mood and he said, well, sorry, I mean, he was a fool, isn't it? But maybe, I a little bit overdid it, But I'm not saying it was wrong, but maybe the timing was not so good. So the sages were going, well, you cannot kill a speaker. He's after all from a Brahminical origin too, not so good. But we know you are God, you can do whatever you want. But publicly spoken, it doesn't look so good. Going around and with grass killing brahmanas like this. Some people may even start to imitate that and say, well, you can do it, I can do it too. And Lord Balaram accepted that logic. He said, so please tell me what you want to do. Well, you should visit all the holy places in India, go on pilgrimage and perform sacrifice, and this way you become purified from the so-called sin you committed. It's actually a pastime. That actually fitted together with another event where Lord Balaram was involved, and that, being, you could say, the elderly brother of Krishna, he could have been easily involved in a battle of Kurukshetra. But Krishna got involved as the chariot driver of Arjuna. So you can say when the brother goes to war, then the other brother also goes to war. The problem is that because it was two dynasties fighting, Balaram was, you could say, friendly, acquainted, related to the opposing party which was fighting Arjuna. You have to see, this was like one big family originally, and they just got on two sides. So, Balaram was kind of disgusted on that point. He didn't want to take any sides. He knew already the outcome, he's God. But he knew that actually his friends would be killed here. And they were all losing. And he did not see even any need in this because Krishna was already involved.